Hello everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So once in a while I will cover news topics on this channel, news that's going on in the comic book world, and today I came across some pretty interesting and what I think is pretty important news. So I'm going to start off with the good news first. So the good news is for the month of November 2017, DC absolutely owned the comic book industry. You know, in the last couple of years, DC has been neck and neck with Marvel, but this month they just crushed it. We can take a look here at the top 10 comic books that sold. You can see number 1 and number 2 are Doomsday Clock. In fact, if you look at it, the top 8 out of the top 10 are DC, with only 2 Marvel books making it. And if you go down even further and look at the top 15, there's only 3 Marvel books, with 1 Image book and 11 DC books. Now, I'm not like a total fanboy. I don't just root for DC. I've read Marvel and all that. I like some of their books, but I'm just showing you what's happening in the industry, and clearly DC is just outselling the heck out of Marvel. And see here, both number 1 and number 2 are Doomsday Clock number 1, and the second selling book is the lenticular cover. So that's the one with Rorschach, and if you kind of turn the cover, you know, from side to side, the blobs on his mask turn into the Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman logos. Now, when I went into the comic book shop, I actually picked up a copy of Doomsday Clock number 1, and the guy who owns the shop was telling me about how he sold over 100 copies of the lenticular cover, but I actually wanted the Gary Frank cover anyhow. I think that's the best cover personally. I like it a lot. So that's a little bit of what's going on with the sales numbers. Now, the bad thing is the overall sales, even though DC did so well, in fact DC sold 21% more books in November 2017 than they did in November 2016. So DC is doing great. Unfortunately, the rest of the industry was down something like 15%. Yeah, 15% versus the same month last year. So, you know, we need the whole industry to be healthy, not just DC. And surprisingly, Image Comics was actually down this month over the year before. And I really can see that too. They only have 1 book in the top 15, and it's The Walking Dead. And it only sold 63,000 copies. That's pretty low for The Walking Dead. I think the show it's basically run its course. So that's just a little bit about what's going on in the comic book sales for the month of November. And it's looking like DC is probably going to have the most sales for December as well. Okay, so a little bad news on the DC front, and I wish I could have let you guys know about this sooner, because a lot of you have probably already ordered the Jack Kirby 4th World Omnibus that has come out. So this is a new book, but it's a reprinting of the classic work from a number of titles by Jack Kirby. Unfortunately, one of the pages is printed twice, and to make it worse, it is replacing a page that is now not there. So you're missing a page and you have 1 page printed twice. You know, it's a thick, big book. You might think of that as a small error, but, you know, things like that used to be a much bigger deal. In fact, I was reading a misprinted panel, just a panel, on the first printing of the Crisis on Infinite Earths hardcover collection meant a full recall and replacement of the item. Nothing like that seems to be happening in this case. So just a heads up, if you haven't bought this book yet, I would hold off on it personally. Alright, that's all for now. That's the good, the bad, and the beautiful in DC news. That's all for now, and as always, thank you. I've got more reviews coming. I'm gonna have a review of... I've got a lot of reviews coming. Speaking of Jack Kirby's 4th World, I'm gonna be reviewing the Darkseid special, oversized special that came out this year, and I will be doing a review of Doomsday Clock number 1, and I'm gonna start doing a series of reviews to cover all of the Mr. Miracle comics that have come out this year. Alright, that's all for now, and as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.
End of line.